Ambassador Kale stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber. His scaled hands shook as he looked at the hundreds of alien faces staring at him. Representatives from 50 different worlds sat in their floating chairs, waiting to hear why he had called this emergency meeting. Kyle was a Vorthak, a proud warrior species that had conquered 12 star systems. His people were known for their strength and courage in battle, but today, fear filled his yellow eyes. The other ambassadors whispered among themselves, wondering why a Vorthak warrior looked so terrified. "Fellow members of the council," Kyle began, his voice barely steady. "I bring a warning about a new species. They call themselves humans. 3 months ago, my government told me this species was primitive and weak. Today, I am the only survivor of my fleet." The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Thex of the consortium leaned forward in his chair. "Kale, you commanded 50 warships. How could primitives defeat you?" Kale's hands trembled as he activated the holographic display. Images filled the air above the council floor. The aliens saw a large ship drifting in space. It looked different from any vessel they knew. The design was simple but sturdy. "This is the human colony ship called New Sol," Kyle explained. "It carried 10,000 humans to establish a new settlement. My fleet was ordered to capture it as part of our expansion into that sector. We thought it would be easy." The hologram changed to show Kale's warships surrounding the human vessel. The alien ships were much larger and more advanced. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. "We demanded their surrender," Kale continued. "Standard procedure for dealing with primitive species. We expected them to give up immediately, but the humans refused." Ambassador Lix from the Ethereal Collective made a soft humming sound. "Surely, they realized they could not win against your superior technology?" Kale's expression darkened. "They knew they would lose, but they fought anyway. At first, we thought they were simply stupid. Then we realized something terrible. These humans do not fight like any species we have encountered." The hologram showed the battle beginning. The human ship had few weapons compared to the alien fleet. But something strange happened. Small human ships launched from the colony vessel. They were tiny compared to the Vorthak warships. "Watch carefully," Kale said, his voice growing quieter. "See how they move." The alien ambassadors leaned forward as the recording played. The small human ships moved in perfect coordination. They dodged the alien weapons with impossible precision. When one human pilot was killed, another immediately took his place in the formation. "How do they coordinate so perfectly?" asked Ambassador Yearn from the Trade Federation. "We see no communication signals between their ships." "We asked the same question," Kale replied. "We intercepted their communications. Do you know what we heard? They were not giving tactical orders. They were saying goodbye to their families. They were telling each other they loved them. They were making jokes." The hologram showed something that made several aliens gasp. Human. Soldiers in spacesuits were floating outside their damaged ship, using pieces of debris as weapons. They threw metal fragments at the alien vessels with deadly accuracy. "Impossible," whispered Ambassador Drex. "No organic being can survive in vacuum for more than a few minutes." "Humans can survive for almost 15 minutes, Kyle said, "and they use every second to keep fighting. But that is not the worst part." The recording continued. More human. Ships appeared from nowhere. These vessels looked different from the colony ship. They were smaller but moved faster. The lead ship transmitted a message on all frequencies. A human voice spoke in accented but clear galactic common. "This is Captain Park Dae-ho of the Earth defense ship Taeguk. You have attacked our people. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The aliens in the council chamber could hear the cold anger in the human's voice. But Kale's fleet commander had laughed at the threat. 50 advanced warships against a handful of primitive vessels seemed like certain victory. Captain Park gave us one chance to leave, Kale said. "My commander refused. He ordered all ships to destroy the humans. That was our biggest mistake." The hologram showed what happened next. The human ship split into groups and attacked from different directions. But they did not use energy weapons like civilized species. Instead, they fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. Kinetic weapons, breathed Ambassador Thex. How primitive. Primitive but effective, Kyle replied grimly. Their metal slugs punched through our shields like they were not there. But the kinetic weapons were not the worst part. The recording showed human ships ramming directly into alien vessels. The humans had turned their own ships into weapons. Each collision destroyed both ships, but the humans seemed willing to make that trade. They used nuclear devices, Kyle continued, not as missiles but as suicide weapons. Human pilots flew their ships into our formations and detonated atomic explosives. They killed themselves to destroy us. Several alien ambassadors made sounds of disgust. Using nuclear weapons in space combat was considered barbaric by most civilized species. In 30 minutes, we lost half our fleet, Kale said. My commander finally ordered a retreat, but the humans followed us. They hunted down every ship that tried to escape. Only my vessel survived, and only because Captain Park allowed it. Why would they let you live? Asked Ambassador Lix. Kale's yellow eyes met hers. Captain Park transmitted a message directly to my ship. He said I should return home and tell my people what happens when humans are threatened. He said his species believes in giving fair warning. The hologram changed to show the aftermath of the battle. Debris from alien ships floated in space around the human colony vessel. But the humans were already beginning rescue operations, saving alien survivors from the wreckage. They saved our people, Kale said quietly. After destroying our fleet, they rescued the aliens who were still alive. Dr. Lee So-jin, their medical officer, treated our wounded with the same care she gave to human casualties. Ambassador Thex laughed harshly. You expect us to fear a species that saves their enemies? Kale activated one final recording. It showed Captain Park standing on the bridge of his ship. The human looked tired but determined. His dark eyes held, "No hatred, only grim resolve. People of the galaxy," the human said into the camera. We came to space seeking new homes and new friends. We hope to join your community of worlds in peace. But we will not allow anyone to harm our families. We will defend ourselves with everything we have. This is our only warning. The recording ended. The council chamber remained silent for long moments. Fellow ambassadors, Kale said, his voice carrying across the vast room. I have fought in hundreds of battles. I have seen warriors from dozens of species, but I have never encountered anything like humans. They do not fight for conquest or glory. They fight for each other. And when they fight, they do not stop until their enemies are destroyed or their families are safe. Kyle looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each ambassador. I urge you all to remember this warning. These humans are not like us. Provoke them if you must, but know that their retaliation will become legend. Long after we are dust, the galaxy will remember. The day the humans showed us what real fury looks like. Fleet Admiral Vex slammed his massive fist on the conference table. The sound echoed through the war room of the hegemony's greatest battleship. Around the table sat his most trusted commanders, all members of different alien species that served. The hegemony's military machine. Impossible, Vex roared, his 4 eyes blazing with anger. You tell me that 50 Vorthak warships were destroyed by primitive mammals? I do not believe it. Commander Zeth, an insectoid officer with sharp claws, clicked nervously. Sir, we have confirmed the reports. The Vorthak fleet was indeed destroyed. Ambassador Kale's testimony to the Galactic Council has been verified by independent sources. Vex stood and walked to the massive window that showed the stars beyond. His species, the Craxi, had ruled the hegemony for 300 years. They had conquered 47 star systems and enslaved dozens of species. The idea that a newly discovered race could threaten their power was unthinkable. These humans must have used some trick, Vex said, his voice cold and calculating. Perhaps they had hidden allies, or maybe they used forbidden weapons. No primitive species can defeat modern warships in honest combat. General Korth, a reptilian commander with thick scales, nodded in agreement. The Vorthak have always been overconfident. Perhaps they were simply careless. These humans probably surprised them with some clever ambush. Vex turned back to face his officers. Exactly. Fear has made the Galactic Council weak. They see one lucky victory by primitives and suddenly believe in fairy tales. The hegemony does not cower before unproven threats. The holographic display activated, showing a three-dimensional map of human space. Earth sat at the center, surrounded by 3 small colonies and several space stations. Compared to the vast hegemony territory, human space looked tiny and defenseless. "Look at their pathetic territory," Vex said with contempt. "One small world and a handful of outposts. Their entire civilization could fit inside a single hegemony sector. Yet the Council trembles at Kale's warnings like frightened children. Commander." Zeth shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Sir, perhaps we should approach this situation carefully. The Galactic Council has recommended diplomatic contact before any military action." Vex's laugh was harsh and mocking. "Diplomacy with primitives? The hegemony has never negotiated with inferior species. We conquer, we rule, we expand. That is our way." Meanwhile, in the solar system that humans called home, General Kim Tae-woo studied the intelligence reports from his headquarters on Earth's moon. The gray-haired military leader had spent 30 years preparing humanity's defenses, but he had never expected to face an alien invasion so soon after first contact. "They're coming," he said to his staff officers gathered around the tactical display. "Our deep space sensors detect a massive alien fleet moving toward Earth. Intelligence estimates at least 100 ships." Commander Choi Min-ho, a young pilot with quick reflexes and steady nerves, looked up from his tablet. "Sir, that's twice the size of the fleet that attacked the New Sol colony ship. Our defense force has only 30 ships ready for combat." "General," Kim nodded grimly. "The odds are not in our favor, but we knew this day might come. Lieutenant Yoon Ha-eun, what do our communications intercepts tell us about these aliens?" Lieutenant Yoon, a communications specialist with an exceptional talent for languages, pulled up her analysis on the main screen. "Sir, the attacking force belongs to something called the hegemony. Based on their transmissions, they view us as an inferior species that needs to be conquered and enslaved." "Typical," muttered Major Park Soo-jin, the head of military intelligence. "They probably think we got lucky against the Vorthak fleet. They don't understand what they're really facing." General Kim walked to the window that looked out over Earth's blue surface. Billions of humans lived on the planet below, going about their daily lives, unaware that an alien armada was approaching to destroy their civilization. "They're making the same mistake every bully makes," Kim said quietly. "They think strength comes from size and superior technology. They don't understand that real strength comes from fighting for something you love." Back on the hegemony flagship, Admiral Vex was finalizing his battle plans. The alien commander had decided to make an example of humanity that would warn other primitive species against resisting hegemony expansion. "We will not simply conquer their world," Vex announced to his assembled fleet commanders via holographic conference. "We will demonstrate the cost of defying the hegemony. Their planet will become a monument to our power." The alien fleet consisted of massive dreadnought battleships, each one capable of destroying a small moon. Escort cruisers and fighter squadrons surrounded the capital ships like a swarm of deadly insects. It was the largest military force the AI hegemony had assembled in 50 years. As the alien armada approached Earth's solar system, human defense forces scrambled to meet them. Captain Park Dae-ho, the hero of the New Sol rescue, commanded the lead squadron aboard his ship Taeguk. Behind him flew a mix of military vessels and converted civilian ships crewed by volunteers. "This is Captain Park to all ships," his voice crackled over the communications network. "Remember what we're fighting for: our families, our friends, our future. The aliens think we're primitives who will break and run. Let's show them what humans do when we're cornered." The first human ship to engage the alien fleet was a converted mining vessel called Arirang, commanded by the young pilot Choi Min-ho. His ship was small and lightly armed compared to the alien dreadnoughts, but Min-ho had grown up flying in the asteroid belt and knew how to use speed and agility to survive. "All human ships, this is Arirang." Min-ho's voice was calm despite the overwhelming odds. "I'm beginning my attack run. Remember the plan: hit them hard and fast, then get out before they can target you." The alien fleet opened fire with devastating energy weapons that lit up space like artificial stars. But something unexpected happened. The human ships began moving in perfect coordination, as if they were all controlled by a single mind. When one pilot zigged left, every other pilot seemed to know exactly where he was going. Admiral Vex watched from his command bridge as his weapons missed target after target. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Their ships have no advanced computers. How can they coordinate so perfectly?" Commander Zeth studied the tactical display with growing confusion. "Sir, it's like they can read each other's minds. Every evasive maneuver is perfectly timed. Every attack run is coordinated to the microsecond. The human ships struck back with primitive but effective weapons. Nuclear missiles and kinetic projectiles slammed into alien shields with surprising force. But more importantly, the humans fought with a desperation and determination that the aliens had never encountered. When Min-ho's ship Arirang took a direct hit and began losing air, he didn't retreat to safety. Instead, he aimed his crippled vessel at the nearest alien cruiser and activated his ship's emergency beacon. "This is Arirang to all human forces," he transmitted as his ship accelerated toward the enemy. "I'm going to ram that cruiser. Get ready to exploit the gap in their formation." The young pilot's sacrifice opened a hole in the alien battle line that Captain Park and his squadron immediately exploited. Human ships poured through the gap, striking at the alien capital ships with everything they had. Admiral Vex felt the first stirring of doubt as he watched his supposedly superior fleet struggle against the human defenders. These primitives weren't fighting like any enemy he had ever faced. They seemed willing to die for their cause, and their coordination was beyond anything his tactical computers could explain. "Sir," Commander Zeth reported with alarm in his voice, "we're taking more casualties than projected. These humans fight like they have nothing to lose." Vex's 4 eyes narrowed as he watched another human ship sacrifice itself to destroy one of his cruisers. "Then we will teach them what they have to lose. All ships, target their homeworld. If they want to fight so desperately, they can watch their planet burn." But as the alien fleet moved toward Earth, they discovered something that would change the course of the battle. The humans weren't just defending desperately. They were preparing to show the galaxy what human retaliation really meant. News of the battle at Earth spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Trade ships, diplomatic vessels, and military scouts carried the impossible story to every corner of known space. A primitive species had not only survived an attack by the mighty hegemony fleet, but had actually forced them to retreat. On the crystalline world of Luminos, Ambassador Rin of the Ethereal Collective floated in her meditation chamber, trying to process the reports. Her species communicated through pure thought, making them natural diplomats and philosophers. But the concept of humans fighting with such coordination and sacrifice was difficult for even her advanced mind to understand. "The reports cannot be accurate," she transmitted to her advisors through their mental link. "No species achieves perfect battlefield coordination without technological assistance. Yet our observers confirmed that human ships moved as one entity while using only primitive radio communications." Her chief advisor, a wise ancient named Lux, pulsed with confusion. Perhaps they have developed some form of natural telepathy? Or maybe they use quantum entanglement in ways we have not discovered? Rin studied the holographic recordings of the battle that independent observers had captured. Human ships danced between alien energy beams with impossible precision. When one pilot died, another immediately filled his position in the formation without any apparent communication delay. This challenges everything we understand about warfare and consciousness, Rin concluded. We must learn more about these humans. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Kang Soo-bin stood in the emergency session of the Global Defense Council. The middle-aged leader had been a diplomat before the alien attacks began, but the crisis had forced her to become a wartime commander. Around the table sat representatives from every nation on Earth, united in a way that would have seemed impossible just months before. The immediate threat has passed, President Kang announced to the assembled leaders. Admiral Vex's fleet has withdrawn beyond our sensor range, but this is only the beginning. We have shown the galaxy that humans will fight when threatened. Now we must show them that we can also be valuable allies. General Kim Tae-woo, still wearing his battle-worn uniform from the recent conflict, leaned forward. Madam President, our intelligence suggests that the galaxy is divided in their response to our actions. Some species want to ally with us. Others see us as a threat that must be eliminated before we become too powerful. Which is why our next move is crucial, President Kang replied. We need to reach out to potential allies while preparing for additional attacks. Captain Oh Sung-jin, is your diplomatic mission ready? Captain Oh, a former military officer who had volunteered to lead humanity's first diplomatic mission, nodded confidently. The ship handbok is prepared, Madam President. We have a crew of 50, including Dr. Baek Ji-hai and her xenopsychology team. We're ready to make contact with any species willing to meet with us. Dr. Baek, a brilliant scientist who specialized in understanding alien psychology, had spent weeks preparing for this mission. Her research into captured alien communications had revealed something fascinating about galactic civilization. Madam President, Dr. Baek said, consulting her notes, our analysis of alien languages and cultures suggests that most species in the galaxy view warfare very differently than humans do. They fight for territory, resources, or dominance. The concept of fighting to protect others or sacrificing yourself for strangers seems to be almost unknown among them. President Kang considered this information carefully. That could explain why our tactics were so effective. They weren't prepared for enemies who value each other's lives more than their own. Across the galaxy, different species were indeed reacting to the news of humanity's victory in vastly different ways. On the industrial world of Mechanus, the robotic collective analyzed the battle data with cold logic. Hypothesis: humans possess unknown technological advantage, transmitted unit prime to the collective consciousness. Alternative hypothesis: humans exhibit behavioral patterns outside normal parameters for organic life. The machines had built their civilization on efficiency and logic. The idea of sacrificing valuable resources like ships and personnel for emotional reasons was incomprehensible to their programming, but on the water world of Aquatica, the dolphin-like swimmers had a very different reaction. Pod leader Splash sent excited sonic bursts through the ocean communication network. The warm-blood surface dwellers fight like our ancestors, he sang to his pod. They protect their young and weak. They sacrifice for the group. Perhaps they are not so different from us. However, not all alien reactions were positive. In the dark council chambers of the consortium, 12 of the galaxy's most powerful species gathered to discuss the human threat. These ancient civilizations had ruled known space for millennia, and they viewed humanity's emergence with growing alarm. Supreme Chancellor Drock, a massive insectoid creature with razor-sharp mandibles, addressed the assembly. Fellow consortium members, we face an unprecedented situation. A primitive species has defeated a major military power using tactics we cannot explain or counter. Chancellor Viss of the Serpentine Republic hissed her agreement. These humans reproduce rapidly and adapt quickly to new situations. If we allow them to spread across the galaxy, they could disrupt the careful balance of power we have maintained for centuries. Their coordination abilities suggest a hive mind, added Chancellor Thorne of the Crystal Empire. But their willingness to sacrifice individuals contradicts standard hive behavior. They may represent an entirely new form of consciousness. The consortium had maintained galactic stability through a careful balance of threats and alliances. Each member species controlled specific sectors and resources, preventing any one group from becoming too powerful. Humanity's emergence threatened to upset this ancient system. I propose immediate action, Chancellor Drock announced. We must contain this human expansion before they become too powerful to control. A coordinated strike against their homeworld would eliminate the threat permanently. But not all consortium members agreed with this approach. Chancellor Mech of the Trader Federation saw potential profit in human unpredictability. Fellow Chancellors, Mech said in his synthetic voice, perhaps we should consider the economic opportunities these humans represent. Their willingness to sacrifice for others suggests they would be extremely reliable trading partners. As the debate continued in the consortium chambers, Captain O's diplomatic mission aboard the Handbach approached their first destination, Nexus Station, the galaxy's largest neutral trading post. The massive space station housed representatives from hundreds of different species and served as an informal embassy for interstellar relations. Captain, reported Lieutenant Commander Yun Ha-un, who had volunteered for the diplomatic mission after her service in the Earth Defense. We're receiving multiple hails from alien vessels. It seems word of our arrival has spread quickly. Captain, O studied the tactical display showing dozens of alien ships surrounding the station. Some appeared to be military vessels, while others were clearly civilian traders or diplomatic ships. Open a channel to Nexus Station Control, O ordered. Let's announce our peaceful intentions before anyone gets the wrong idea. Nexus Control. This is Captain Oh Sung-jin of the human diplomatic vessel Hanbok. He transmitted on all standard frequencies. We come in peace, seeking dialogue and understanding with all species. We request permission to dock and open formal communications. The response came from a mechanical voice that belonged to the station's artificial intelligence. Human vessel Hanbok, you are cleared for docking at Port 17. Be advised that security measures are in effect due to heightened tensions. Regarding your species. As the Hanbok approached the docking port, Dr. Beck observed the reaction of nearby alien vessels through the ship's sensors. Captain, I'm detecting unusual communication patterns among the alien ships. They seem to be sharing information about us, but the emotional undertones are mixed. Some show fear, others curiosity, and a few display what might be admiration. Captain O nodded thoughtfully. Dr. Beck, what's your assessment of our situation? The xenopsychologist reviewed her data carefully before responding. Sir, I believe we're at a critical juncture. Our actions in the coming days will determine whether humanity is seen as a potential ally or an existential threat. The galaxy is watching us, and they're trying to decide whether we're the heroes or the villains of this story. As the Hanbok docked with Nexus Station, Captain O prepared to step into the unknown world of galactic diplomacy. Behind him on Earth, President Kang and her advisors monitored the mission while preparing for the possibility that not all alien species would welcome humanity with open arms. The galaxy was changing, and everyone knew it. The question was whether that change would bring peace or war. The consortium's war fleet assembled in the dark space between star systems, far from any inhabited worlds. 1,000 ships from 12 different species created the largest military force the galaxy had seen in centuries. Supreme Overlord Thex, a massive creature with 6 arms and stone-like skin, commanded the armada from his flagship Dominator. Today we eliminate a threat to galactic stability, Thex announced to his fleet commanders through secured communications. The humans have proven they cannot be reasoned with or controlled. Their expansion must be stopped before they contaminate other species with their chaotic behavior. The alien commanders nodded agreement from their respective bridges. Each species brought their most advanced warships and deadliest weapons. The Crystalline Empire contributed ships that could manipulate gravity itself. The Void Hunters brought vessels that could phase in and out of normal space. The Machine Collective provided automated dreadnoughts with targeting systems that never missed. Intelligence reports suggest the humans have fewer than 50 combat-capable vessels, reported Admiral Crix of the Serpentine Republic. Our force represents overwhelming superiority in every category: numbers, technology, firepower, and experience. But on Earth, Admiral Song Jaemin stood in the command center that had been hastily built beneath the planet's surface. The veteran military officer had spent his entire career preparing for threats that might come from space, though he had never imagined those threats would be this massive. "Admirals, the situation is clear," Song addressed his staff through secure, holographic conference. Long-range sensors detect a force of approximately 1,000 alien vessels approaching human space. They will reach Earth in 72 hours. Around the virtual table sat the commanders of humanity's scattered fleets. Captain Park Dae-ho commanded the main defense force orbiting Earth. Commander Nam Yoon-ji led the special operations units that had been secretly deployed throughout the galaxy. Captain Shin Dong-hyun commanded humanity's newest and most advanced vessel, though few people knew exactly what capabilities it possessed. "Admiral," Captain Park said grimly, "our total combat strength is 47 ships. Even with the new vessels from the emergency construction program, we're outnumbered more than 20 to 1. Admiral Song nodded calmly. "Captain, have you ever heard the story of the Battle of Myeongyang? 400 years ago, Admiral Yi Sun-sin defeated a Japanese fleet of 300 ships using only 13 Korean vessels." "Yes, sir," Park replied. "He used superior tactics and knowledge of local waters to overcome impossible odds." "Exactly," Song said with a slight smile. "We may not have Admiral Yi's numerical advantage, but we have something the aliens don't expect. Dr. Lim Young-soo, please brief the commanders on Project Taeguk." Dr. Lim, a theoretical physicist who looked younger than his 50 years, activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. "Gentlemen, for the past 6 months, we have been implementing a defensive network unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. We call it the Taeguk system, named after the symbol on our flag that represents balance and harmony." The display showed a complex web of quantum communication nodes, hidden weapon platforms, and sensor arrays spread throughout human space. But the most impressive part was invisible to normal detection methods. "The key to our defense is not technology," Dr. Lim explained. "It's the human ability to act as a collective while maintaining individual initiative. Every human pilot, gunner, and commander in our fleet is connected through quantum-entangled communication devices. When one of us sees a threat, we all see it. When one of us has an idea, we all share it instantly." Captain Shin leaned forward with interest. "Doctor, are you saying we can achieve perfect coordination across interstellar distances?" "Not just coordination," Dr. Lim replied. "True unity of purpose. The aliens fight as separate units that happen to be on the same side. We fight as a single organism, with thousands of minds working toward one goal." Meanwhile, Commander Nam Yoon-ji was already putting this system to the test. Her special operations teams had spent weeks infiltrating alien space using small, stealthy ships that looked like civilian traders. These teams weren't meant to cause massive damage. They had a different mission entirely. "Strike Team Alpha, this is Shadow Leader," Nam transmitted to her scattered units. "Begin Phase 1 operations. Remember, we're not here to destroy their ships. We're here to deliver a message." Across 12 different star systems, human operatives simultaneously boarded alien supply ships, communication relays, and military outposts. But instead of planting explosives or stealing information, they left behind something much more disturbing: recordings. On the Consortium Supply Depot at Kepler Station, aliens discovered a simple holographic projector that activated when they entered the storage bay. The image showed a young human woman in a military uniform. "My name is Lieutenant Park Min-jung," the recording said in perfect Consortium standard language. "By the time you see this message, our teams will have visited dozens of your facilities. We could have destroyed them all. We could have killed thousands of your people. But we chose not to, because humans prefer peace to war." The alien workers stared at the hologram in shock. How had humans penetrated their most secure facilities without anyone noticing? The recording continued. "Your leaders have decided to attack our homeworld with a force of 1,000 ships. They believe this will eliminate the human threat to galactic stability. They are wrong. Attacking Earth will not destroy humanity. It will teach the galaxy why humans are willing to die for each other." Similar recordings appeared simultaneously across Consortium space. On military bases, trading, stations, and government facilities, aliens found the same message delivered in their own languages. The psychological impact was devastating. If humans could infiltrate their most secure locations this easily, what else might they be capable of? Supreme Overlord Thex received reports of the infiltrations while his fleet was still traveling toward human space. The massive alien commander crushed his communication device in one of his 6 hands. "Impossible!" he roared. "How did primitives penetrate our security? Our intelligence services detected no human ships in our territory." Admiral Crix's scaled face showed concern as she replied, "Sir, our counterintelligence teams are investigating. But the humans seem to have used civilian vessels and false identifications. They may have been planning this operation for months." "It does not matter," Thex declared. "Clever tricks will not save them from the firepower of 1,000 warships. Continue the advance." But the human infiltrations were only the beginning. As the Consortium fleet approached the border of human space, they began encountering something unprecedented: human ships appearing in systems that should have been empty. "Contact report," announced the sensor operator aboard the Consortium. "Flagship. Single human vessel detected in grid 77 Alpha. Ship appears to be a modified cargo hauler." On the main display, the aliens could see a small human ship drifting between 2 gas giant planets. It looked harmless and defenseless compared to the massive alien warships. "Destroy it," Thex ordered without hesitation. But when the Consortium ships fired their weapons, the human vessel simply vanished. Not destroyed, vanished, as if it had never existed. "What happened?" Thex demanded. "Unknown, sir," the sensor operator replied nervously. "The ship appears to have activated some form of stealth technology beyond our detection capabilities." Similar encounters occurred throughout Consortium space as the alien fleet advanced. Human ships would appear, observe the alien formations, and then disappear before they could be targeted. The psychological effect was far more damaging than any weapon. "They're watching us," Admiral Crix reported with growing unease. "Somehow the humans are tracking our entire fleet while remaining invisible to our sensors." Thex's confidence began to waver as more reports came in. Human ships had been spotted near Consortium homeworlds, military installations, and civilian colonies. Not attacking, just observing. The message was clear. Humans could strike anywhere they chose. "Sir," his communication officer announced, "we're receiving a transmission from the human homeworld. It's addressed to you personally." The main screen activated to show Admiral Song Jae-min sitting calmly in his command center. The human officer looked directly at the camera as if he could see Thex through the transmission. "Supreme Overlord Thex," Song said in fluent Consortium standard. "I am Admiral Song Jae-min of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is impressive, and your intentions are clear. You believe that destroying Earth will eliminate the human threat to your established order." Song paused, his expression becoming harder. "You are correct that we represent a threat to your system. We threaten the idea that might makes right. We threaten the belief that the strong should prey on the weak. We threaten the notion that different species cannot work together as equals. The human admiral leaned forward slightly. But you are wrong if you think destroying Earth will stop us. Humans do not fight for territory or resources. We fight for ideas, and ideas cannot be killed by warships. Thex felt a chill run through his massive frame as Song continued. You have three options, Overlord. First, you can withdraw your fleet and begin negotiations for peaceful coexistence. Second, Intelligence Chief Kex of the Consortium Military Command sat in his darkened analysis chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing human combat data. The spider-like alien had spent decades studying warfare patterns across the galaxy, but the human fighting methods defied every tactical principle he understood. "Computer, replay the new Soul battle footage," Kex commanded with his synthetic voice translator. "Focus on human ship coordination between timestamps 1432 and 1847. The hologram showed human vessels moving in perfect synchronization despite having no visible command structure. When one pilot changed course, every other ship adjusted position instantly. When a human ship was destroyed, the remaining vessels immediately filled the gap in their formation." "Impossible," Kex muttered, his multiple eyes studying the data. "No species achieves this level of coordination without technological assistance, yet our scans show no advanced communication equipment aboard human ships." His assistant, a young analyst named Vern, clicked his mandibles nervously. "Sir, perhaps they use some form of biological telepathy? Some species develop mental communication as an evolutionary trait." Kex considered this possibility, but the evidence didn't support it. "Negative. Telepathic species show distinct brain patterns during mental communication. Human neural scans reveal normal brain activity for non-telepathic mammals." On the other side of the galaxy, Dr. Han Bo-Ra stood before a gathering of Earth's greatest scientists in the secret research facility beneath Sol. The quantum physicist had been working around the clock to understand why human coordination worked so well against alien tactics. "Colleagues," Dr. Han began, activating the holographic projector, "I believe I have discovered the answer to humanity's tactical advantages. The secret is not in our technology or biology. It lies in our culture." The assembled scientists leaned forward with interest. Dr. Han had gained fame for her work on quantum entanglement communication, but this research seemed to combine physics with anthropology. "In Korean, we have a concept called nunchi," Dr. Han explained. "It means social awareness, the ability to understand what others are thinking and feeling without direct communication. This skill has been part of human culture for thousands of years." Dr. Park Jung-soo, a neuroscientist from Busan National University, raised his hand. "Dr. Han, how does cultural awareness translate into military coordination?" "Excellent question," Dr. Han replied, changing the holographic display to show brain scans of human pilots during combat. "When humans work together toward a common goal, our mirror neurons activate in synchronized patterns. We literally begin to think alike without conscious effort." The display showed remarkable data. Human pilots fighting together showed nearly identical brainwave patterns as if their minds were operating on the same frequency. "But that's not the most interesting discovery," Dr. Han continued. "Watch what happens when we add quantum communication devices to the equation." The new hologram showed the same pilots using humanity's quantum-entangled communication network. Their brain patterns became completely synchronized across vast distances, creating what appeared to be a collective consciousness while maintaining individual personalities. "We've accidentally created a form of technological telepathy," Dr. Han announced. "Not by reading minds, but by allowing human instincts for cooperation to operate at the speed of light across interstellar space." Meanwhile, Captain Shin Dong-hyun commanded humanity's most advanced vessel from the bridge of the experimental ship, Sejong. His crew represented the best of human technology and training, but even they were amazed by their ship's capabilities. "Captain, reported Lieutenant Kim Da-eun from the sensor station. "We're detecting the consortium fleet at the edge of our long-range scanners. Estimated arrival time at Earth, 18 hours. Shin nodded calmly. "Lieutenant, activate the quantum mesh network. Connect us to all human vessels and ground stations." As the quantum communication system came online, Shin felt the familiar sensation of expanded awareness. Suddenly, he could sense the thoughts and emotions of every human in the defense network. Captain Park's determination aboard the Taeguk. Commander Nam's focused intensity as she prepared her special operations teams. Admiral Song's calm confidence in his underground command center. "All stations, this is Captain Shin," he transmitted through the network. "Beginning Phase 2 of the defense plan. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting to show the galaxy what humans really are." Back in his analysis chamber, Intelligence Chief Kex was beginning to piece together the mystery of human coordination. His computer systems had finally detected traces of quantum communication signals between human vessels, but the pattern was unlike anything in the galactic database. "Vern," Kex called to his assistant, "examine these quantum signatures. Humans are using entangled particle communication, but not for tactical data exchange. What are they transmitting?" The younger analyst studied the readouts with growing confusion. "Sir, the quantum signals don't contain military information. They appear to be transmitting emotional and psychological data, human feelings, memories, and instinctive reactions." Kex felt a chill run through his insectoid frame. "They're not coordinating their ships through tactical computers. They're coordinating their minds through shared consciousness." The revelation was terrifying to the alien intelligence officer. Most galactic species viewed individualism as the foundation of civilization. The idea of voluntarily sharing consciousness with others was considered primitive and dangerous. "Sir," Vern said nervously, "if the humans can truly think as one organism while maintaining individual initiative, they could coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. Our tactical computers aren't designed to counter that kind of threat." On Earth, Dr. Beck Ji-hai was conducting her own research into alien psychology based on intercepted communications from the approaching consortium fleet. The xenopsychologist had discovered something equally important about humanity's enemies. "President Kang," Dr. Beck reported through secure communication, "I've completed my analysis of consortium battle doctrine. Their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness." President Kang listened intently from her secure bunker. "Explain, Doctor." "The consortium species fight as separate allies, not as a unified force," Dr. Beck explained. "Each species has their own chain of command, their own tactical preferences, and their own definition of victory. They cooperate, but they don't truly trust each other." The xenopsychologist pulled up psychological profiles of the consortium leadership. Supreme Overlord Thex commands through intimidation and fear. His subordinates follow orders not out of loyalty, but because they're afraid of punishment. When faced with unexpected threats, their coordination will break down. President Kang considered this information carefully. "Dr. Bayek, are you suggesting we can turn their diversity against them?" "Exactly," Dr. Bayek replied. "Humans see diversity as strength because we've learned to work together despite our differences. The consortium sees diversity as a necessary evil. Different species cooperating only when it benefits them personally." As the consortium fleet approached Earth's solar system, researcher Zeph aboard the flagship Dominator was conducting his own analysis of human combat psychology. The multi-armed alien scientist had studied hundreds of species, but human behavior patterns confused him. "Supreme Overlord," Zeph reported to Thex, "I have completed my psychological profile of human combat doctrine. The results are disturbing." Thex turned his massive frame toward the scientist. "Explain." "Sir, humans don't fight for logical reasons," Zeph said, consulting his data tablets. "They fight for concepts that have no measurable value. Honor, love, protection of strangers. These motivations make their behavior completely unpredictable. Ridiculous, Thex replied dismissively. All species fight for territory, resources, or survival. These humans simply use propaganda to motivate their troops, but Zeph shook his head firmly. Negative, sir. Brain scans of captured human prisoners show genuine belief in these concepts. They literally value the lives of strangers more than their own survival. This explains their willingness to use suicide tactics. The revelation troubled Thex more than he cared to admit. How could you defeat an enemy that didn't value their own lives? How could you negotiate with beings who cared more about abstract concepts than practical concerns? It doesn't matter, Thex declared, though his voice carried less confidence than before. Philosophical differences mean nothing against superior firepower. We will overwhelm them with raw force. But as the consortium fleet entered Earth's solar system, they encountered something that challenged every assumption they had made about human capabilities. The entire star system had been turned into a massive defensive network, with weapon platforms hidden behind asteroids, sensor arrays, disguised as space debris and human ships that seemed to appear and disappear at will. "Contact report," announced the consortium sensor operator. "We're detecting human vessels throughout the system, but their exact numbers are unclear. They appear to be using some form of advanced stealth technology." "How many ships?" Thex demanded. "Unknown. Sir, our instruments show conflicting readings. It could be 50 ships or 500. The Battle of Earth began at exactly 1430 Universal Standard Time, when the consortium fleet crossed the boundary of human space. Supreme Overlord Thex commanded 1,000 warships from 12 different species, the largest military force assembled in galactic history. Facing him were fewer than 70 human vessels defending their homeworld. Admiral Park Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the command ship Seoul, watching the alien armada approach through the tactical display. The veteran commander had fought in 3 wars before the aliens arrived, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Behind him, Earth hung in space like a blue jewel, home to 10 billion humans who depended on his decisions. "All ships, this is Admiral Park," he transmitted through the quantum communication network. "Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for the right of all species to live free from tyranny. Remember who we are. Remember what we protect. Remember that the galaxy is watching." The sensation of shared consciousness flowed through every human in the defense network. Dr. Yu Mi-rae, coordinating the global defense systems from her bunker beneath the Korean peninsula, felt the determination of every pilot, every gunner, every soldier preparing for battle. The quantum mesh connected them all in a web of shared purpose that spanned from Earth's surface to the edge of the solar system. "Admiral," reported Captain Lee from the destroyer Incheon, "consortium vessels are beginning their attack approach. Their formation suggests they plan to overwhelm us with concentrated firepower, but Admiral Park smiled grimly as he watched the alien fleet advance in their traditional battle formation. "Captain, they're fighting the last war. They expect us to meet them ship to ship in honorable combat. Activate the Taeguk Defense Protocol." Across human space, hidden weapon platforms emerged from their concealment behind asteroids and debris fields. The entire solar system had been transformed into a massive fortress with overlapping fields of fire that could target any approaching enemy. But the platforms weren't humanity's greatest weapon. They were merely the opening move in a strategy the aliens couldn't comprehend. Supreme Overlord Thex watched from his flagship as human ships seemed to multiply before his eyes. What had appeared to be 70 vessels suddenly became hundreds as stealth fields deactivated across the system. The humans had somehow hidden an entire fleet in plain sight. "Impossible!" Thex roared. "Our sensors detected no additional ships. How did they conceal so many vessels?" Intelligence Chief Kex studied the tactical readings with growing alarm. "Sir, the humans aren't using traditional stealth technology. They're using quantum phase manipulation to shift their ships slightly out of normal space-time. It's a technique we've never encountered. The first exchange of fire lit up the space between Earth and Mars like artificial stars. Consortium energy weapons lanced out toward human ships, but their targets seemed to anticipate every shot. Human vessels danced between alien beams with impossible precision, their quantum-linked pilots moving as extensions of a single consciousness. Emperor Jin Woo-sung, humanity's elected war leader, watched the battle from the Emergency Command Center in Seoul. The former diplomat had never wanted military command, but the crisis had forced Earth's nations to unite under a single leader. Now he carried the weight of humanity's survival on his shoulders. "Dr. Yu," Emperor Jin said to the defense coordinator, "are our people ready for Phase 3? Dr. Yu Mi-Ray nodded solemnly. "Yes, sir. All human settlements throughout the galaxy are connected to the quantum network. They're ready to receive the signal." "Then may God forgive us for what we're about to do," Jin said quietly. In space above Earth, the battle had become a deadly dance of ships and weapons. Human fighters, piloted by volunteers from every nation on Earth, wove between massive alien dreadnoughts like angry hornets. When pilot Choi Young-min's fighter took critical damage, he didn't retreat to safety. "This is Eagle 7, he transmitted calmly. "My ship is crippled, but my weapons are still functional. Beginning final attack. Run on enemy flagship." The young pilot aimed his damaged fighter at the consortium command ship, but instead of ramming it, he activated something the aliens had never seen before. A quantum singularity bomb that tore a hole in space-time itself. The explosion consumed both his fighter and the enemy cruiser in a flash of impossible light. But more importantly, it sent a message through the quantum network to every human in the galaxy. The battle for Earth had begun. Across known space, something unprecedented happened. Human colonies, research stations, and diplomatic missions that had seemed peaceful and harmless suddenly revealed their true nature. Ships that had been disguised as cargo haulers activated weapon systems and began broadcasting the same message on all frequencies. The voice belonged to Emperor Jin, transmitted simultaneously from thousands of locations throughout the galaxy. "People of the stars, we came to space seeking friendship and knowledge. We offered our hand in peace to all who would take it. But those who mistake our kindness for weakness have forgotten an important truth about humanity." On the Vorthak homeworld, the Human Cultural Exchange mission suddenly activated hidden transmitters that bypassed all planetary communications. On crystalline trading stations, human merchants revealed themselves as military observers who had been mapping alien defenses for months. "We are not conquerors," Emperor Jin's message continued. "We are protectors. We do not seek to rule the galaxy, but we will not allow tyrants to rule us. Today, 12 species have chosen to attack our homeworld. Today, they learn what happens when humans fight for everything they love." The psychological impact was devastating. Every species in the galaxy realized that humans had been among them for months, watching, learning, preparing. The beings they had dismissed as primitive mammals had outmaneuvered the most advanced intelligence services in known space. But the revelation was only the beginning. As the consortium fleet pressed its attack on Earth, Supreme Overlord Thex began to notice something wrong with his formation. Ships were breaking off from the main attack to engage human vessels that shouldn't have been able to threaten them. "Report!" Thex demanded. "Why are our ships abandoning the attack formation?" Admiral Crix's scaled face showed confusion and fear. "Sir, our vessels are reporting that they're under attack by their own escort fighters. The pilots claim they're following emergency protocols, but their actions make no tactical sense." The truth was more terrifying than Thex could imagine. Human special forces, led by Commander Nam Yoon-ji, had infiltrated alien ships weeks earlier. Not to sabotage them, but to install quantum communication devices that could influence alien pilots through their neural interfaces. The aliens had always believed that individual consciousness was sacred and inviolable. They had never considered that an enemy might be able to share that consciousness, to make alien pilots experience human emotions and motivations. Consortium fighter pilots found themselves overwhelmed with unfamiliar feelings. Protectiveness toward strangers, willingness to sacrifice for others, determination to defend the innocent. These emotions, transmitted through quantum entanglement, disrupted their ability to follow orders that contradicted human values. "All ships, withdraw immediately," Thex commanded in desperation. "This battle is compromised." But it was too late. The consortium fleet had been enveloped by humanity's true weapon, the ability to make others understand what it meant to be human. Alien crews began refusing orders to target civilian areas. Pilots broke formation to protect damaged human vessels. The carefully coordinated attack dissolved into chaos, as the invaders experienced something their species had never known: empathy for their enemies. The battle lasted exactly 6 hours and 17 minutes. When it ended, the consortium fleet was not destroyed but transformed. Alien crews who had come to conquer Earth found themselves helping to repair human ships and evacuate wounded pilots from both sides. Ambassador Kale, who had warned the galaxy about human retaliation, watched the aftermath from his observation ship at the edge of the system. The Vorthak diplomat understood what others were only beginning to comprehend. Humans didn't just win battles, they won hearts and minds. "This is Ambassador Kale to all galactic observers," he transmitted on the diplomatic frequency. "Record this moment carefully. Today, humanity has shown us something beyond victory or defeat. They have shown us what we could become if we learned to care for each other as they care for their own." In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed in ways no one had predicted. The quantum empathy technology that humans shared freely with, other species began to break down the barriers between civilizations. Former enemies found themselves working together, not because of treaties or trade agreements, but because they had experienced what it felt like to be truly connected to other conscious beings. Emperor Jin addressed the Galactic Council from the rebuilt chambers on Nexus Station, his words carried to every inhabited world in known space. "We did not seek to conquer you," he said simply. "We sought to show you who we are. Humans fight not because we hate our enemies, but because we love our families. We sacrifice not because we are foolish, but because we believe some things are worth dying for. We offer this gift of understanding freely to all who would accept it."